What is it, whenever I come up here, it always rains. Always rains. I'm absolutely ruddy soaked. Anyway, that's not the reason for the video. Hi everybody, welcome back. Hope you are all well. Now, as I carry on caravanning throughout my adult years, I can't help but remember some of the things that I remember back from caravanning with my mum and dad back in the early 80s. And one of the things I can remember is the smell and the sound of the cooker, the whistling of the kettle, for instance, the pouring of coffee into plastic cups, you know, just various things like that. Oh, and the sound of the rain on the roof, of course, which everybody seems to enjoy. But there is one sound I do remember, which I wasn't particularly fond of at the time, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not fond of now, and that's the whistling and the high-pitched tone of fluorescent tubes. Back when we had our Swift Corvette back in the 80s, we had a couple of brown fluorescent tubes, I think is the best way to describe them. They were brown mounted and they were underneath the kitchen unit, and they gave a great deal of light for a lot of power. Of course, nowadays everything is LED. However, somebody I know has got a year 2000 Fleetwood and they've got fluorescent tubes in their caravan. And I nominated myself to convert them to LEDs. So I've been out and I've purchased one of these. It's a Lumo 1. It's a single tube fluorescent tube. It connects up to the 12 volts and it uses a heck of a lot of power. You know, the light also is not great. It's either warm white or it's bright white. You can probably hear the rain now. So I said, well, let me convert one for you and you can fit it back into your caravan. Now, this video is not going to be for everybody, but this is going to be for people who have already got a light like this. They don't want to replace it with downlighters. They want to maintain the period character of their caravan, for instance, but they just want to know how to convert these to LEDs. So back at the office a couple of days ago, I actually converted this one to LED. Right, so this is what we're dealing with. This is the Lumo 1. Now, I've bought this one specifically for this video. It cost me just under £15. I wouldn't recommend that you buy one yourself just for converting over. The chances are you already have a surround or a light that you want to convert to LED, and this is just the video showing you how to do that. But if you do want to buy one for the purposes of conversion, well, I've put a link to it in the description down below. So as you can see, it works well, and the light is, well, fairly fluorescent, as you can see. So what we're going to do is disconnect the power, and a top tip here, if you are playing with fluorescent tubes, is disconnect it from the power but switch it on and off for a couple of times and just leave it switched on for half an hour. It gives the time for the electronics just to discharge a little bit. So the first task actually is to remove all the internals, and we're going to make a start by taking the cover off, and I'm just using a car trim tool here just to remove the outside, and we're just going to remove the internal gubbins. So let's get the shell off and let's get the tube out. Now I'm just using a pair of pliers just to remove the cables off the end of the tube, and the tube itself pushes out through the rear of this light fitting, oddly enough. So if you ever did need to replace the tube, well, you'd have to take the whole thing out anyway, and that will reveal to me a problem which I'll discuss in a moment. Once the tube is out, put it away somewhere safe. Don't destroy it, don't throw it away, because they can be fairly obnoxious. So if you want to dispose of it, take it down to your local recycling centre and dispose of it properly. The next thing we need to do is, once that's removed, we need to remove the control panel. And the control panel is held in on this side just by a couple of clips. And also, as I discover in this video, the switch on the front is also soldered directly into the board, and that's what holds it captive in the housing. So what I started to do was to fiddle around with it and see if I could unsolder the switch, but that didn't really work. So instead what I did is I just pulled the board out enough and went in there with some cutters and cut the switch away from the circuit board. It left enough metal work for me to solder on extra cables later on, so it's not really a big problem. So once the circuit board is removed, there's just a couple of things I want to keep from this circuit board, and that's really just the cabling. So I'm going to cut the cables off. That's the red and the white cable here for the power, and then there's a long piece of white cable which I want to remove as well, which did go onto the fluorescent tube, and I'm going to use that to wire up my switch in a moment. Now I said a few moments ago that removing the fluorescent tube revealed a problem with this particular light fitting, and you can probably work out that there's a ruddy grey gap in the middle of this particular light fitting. Now there are a couple of ways I can tackle this. I could either stick my LEDs to the casing to the side, or I could cover up that hole somehow. And in this instance I've chosen to try and cover up that hole, and all I've done for that is, just as a prototype measure, I've just cut up the cardboard box which this light came in, and I've just cut it up, and I've cut enough of a rectangle here to fit over that gap, and I think that will be good enough to hold the LEDs in place. So all I'm using here is some super glue, and what I'm going to do is just super glue the card in place and set it aside to dry carefully. And whilst that's happening, let's pay attention to our LEDs. So the LEDs which I've got here are warm white, and that's trying to replicate the colour which the fluorescent tube gave off, and I think the colour match is actually quite good. So these are warm whites. I've put a link to these down below. Now these LEDs are waterproofed, and that's just because they're what I have lying around here right now. If you're going to do this job, you don't necessarily need to buy waterproofed LEDs. Waterproofed LEDs basically means that they're covered with like a silicone clear covering over the actual strip. To prepare the end of the LED, what you need to do is remove that strip. So the best thing to do here is just use the sharp knife, cut the silicone covering and peel back to reveal the pads which we will solder onto. Now soldering is a fairly straightforward task for me, but if you're not familiar with it, well, don't worry, you can buy clips which are attached to these LEDs. However, I want to use the switch which is in the light fitting, and the only way I can connect to that one is to use a soldering iron. So using the wire that we've removed from the fluorescent tube before, I'm just going to attach one part of that cable to one terminal of the switch. And wiring a switch, by the way, is dead easy. A switch basically just creates a break in the circuit. So one half of the switch goes to the LEDs and the other half goes off to our power that we're going to connect up to later on. So with the switch now wired in, we're just going to put a little bit of heat shrink over the top there just to make sure it's nicely covered, and then we'll put the cable through ready to connect to the LEDs. So now it's time to fit the LEDs into the housing. And it's dead simple, just pull back the sticky back plastic, align the LEDs up and then fit them in place. You can see here, I'm not actually using many LEDs in this housing, but it does seem to do the job anyway, and it goes to the entire length. And now once again it's just time to get the soldering iron out and attach the cables to the end. Make sure you get the polarity around the right way. LEDs only work one way round, so if you get it the wrong way around, it just won't work, and it's dead easy to rectify if that does happen. So with the switch and the LEDs all wired in all correctly, as you can see, it's time to add some power and see if it works. And as you can see, it lights up beautifully. If I add the frosted cover to it, you can see it diffuses the LEDs even more, and you would never know that this was an LED replacement. Right, so that's this one now converted over to LED, and that'll be winging its way in the post to its new owner shortly. A couple of things though that I just want to touch on from the video, and probably in hindsight actually, is if this is going in a bathroom or if it's going in a kitchen underneath a unit where there is the possibility of moisture, you know, steam or any, you know, hot environments, etc., I wouldn't recommend using cardboard. No, I would recommend using a very thin sheet of plastic, like a polythene plastic, something like that. You can pick it up from most hobby craft stores or other hobby stores, etc. That was probably what I would be using. I haven't done it yet, although I will be converting this one over to plastic. Because I only glued this in, I can rip that out and put that one back in again. A couple of other points as well is that the light is a little bit dimmer than the original fluorescent. I would say it's probably down about 20%, although I don't think it's going to make much difference in the application that this is going in. However, the beauty of LEDs and the LED strips is I could just add a couple more rows of LEDs in here, wire them up to the existing strip which is in there, and then we'll get more light out of it, although it would look a bit ugly. At the moment it looks okay, but I mean, you know, if it's going to be mounted like that, you're not going to really see it, are you? I'm just looking at it in the camera now. No, you're not going to really see it at all. So I might just experiment and add a couple of more rows of LEDs to that, and if I do that, I'll put an update on our blog. But there we go, a very straightforward and a very easy job for anybody to do. Obviously you will need soldering iron. And I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't go out and buy one of these to then convert, because that's a very expensive way of doing it. If you want to convert to LEDs, you know, there are plenty of LED downlighters now available on the market. But if you've got a period caravan, you want to maintain that look and feel, and you want to maintain it so it looks stock and original, you know, this is perhaps the way to go. So there we go. I hope that's useful for you. I hope that does encourage you to go out there and update some of your lights. I'm going to do a few more videos because there's a few more lights on his caravan which we're going to update. One of those is the awning light above the door. He's got a horrible big fluorescent, no, halogen I think it is in fact. He's got a horrible halogen, yellow, crazed, cracked awning light that we're going to rip off. We're going to put one of those very elegant over-door LEDs ones. So that's coming out soon. And there's a few other LEDs that he wants to put in around the place as well, just to make it very usable and up to date. And of course, if he's off grid and if he's using no mains hookup at all, then using LED lights is going to save him a heck of a lot of power, because these things, halogen bulbs, not only do they get hot, but they also consume far, far more power than LEDs. So I hope this video has been useful for you. Not for everybody, I'm granted, but I hope it's knowledge for you anyway. So please subscribe to our channel, hit the notification icon, and if you can do all of that, well, hopefully we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Rob's Wise Ways. I've been posting videos on YouTube since the beginning of this year for caravanners and motorhomers, offering tips on how to get the most out of your shower, how not to trip the electric hookup, how to fit extras such as the Thetford cassette toilet electric ventilator, and a look at the touring sites we stay at that have fully serviced pictures. And that's a quick overview of my channel, Rob's Wise Ways.